Again, thanks for joining us. We put together a few slides talking about quality assurance requirements for environmental justice grantees. And we have certain QA requirements here in Region 3, but we've kind of customized them for these grants that we think are different than, all of the other activities that are happening in the region. And with me this morning are Amy McBride, our acting quality assurance manager, and Christopher Pauley. And the three of us are in the quality assurance group here in Region 3. We're in a different division from the EJ folks, but we're in touch with them. We have a weekly meeting that we go to with them. So just letting you know, we're in a different group and we do quality assurance, and we're going to talk a little bit more about the rest of our group on a subsequent slide. But we're going to tag team this presentation. I'm going to start it off. I'm going to pass it to Amy, and then Amy's going to pass it to Christopher to bring it home. And then we have lots of time at the end for questions. And we just want to start off by saying that there are so many benefits to a good quality system. And we here at EPA Region 3 have really been working on our quality system and our culture of quality assurance over the past few years. Our quality system does go back decades, but it's been getting stronger. And it's really valuable to us because it means that we can make decisions based on defensible data. And some of our programs here need their data to stand up in court, and other projects might not need that much defensibility, but defensibility does not hurt you. Having someone want to believe your data and want to compare your data with regulatory data, it's never going to hurt you. It's always a good thing. So we're not going to go through all of these bullet points on the slide, but you have the slides and you'll be able to reference them in the future. We have a quality policy here in Region 3 that all environmental information, whether it's collected for your project or used for your project, it must be of known and documented quality suitable for its use. So that policy applies first and foremost to us at EPA, but it also applies to folks that we have a financial relationship with. So that includes our contractors and our grantees. And that's probably why you're here today, because you have a financial relationship with us, and therefore our quality policy applies to you. And I promised I would introduce you to our whole group. This is all of us who do quality assurance here in the region. Some of us work in Maryland, if that interests you, and some of us work in Philadelphia. We do kind of divvy up our work into areas that we specialize in. So I used to work in the water division and the air division, and that's kind of the kinds of projects that I have more expertise in, but others work almost entirely on Superfund or brownfields. And so you might get a review memo from any one of us, or one of us might be available to answer your questions. You can see our contact information is on this slide, so we encourage folks to reach out to us. We do prefer that you work through your project officer, because we just think that's cleanest to have your project officer in the loop if you reach out to us. But we are here for help, advice, support, and guidance. We primarily do QA document review and approval. We do trainings both for EPA folks and for grantees. We keep track of all the documents that we get in our database. We do program support, collaboration, planning, and guidance. We develop tools and resources. And one of those tools is attached to this meeting request, and we might share it at the end. It's a QAPP template that you might find helpful. It matches up with our QAPP standard. So it will help you with formatting your approval and signature page, just formatting your whole document and really laying out what the requirements are there. So We also work with our headquarters colleagues, and we're currently the lead region for QA. All right, so we're going to get into really the meat of our presentation here and talk about QA documents. And there are 3 QA documents on the slide. The first is the QMP, the Quality Management Plan, and it's really the umbrella document that describes your quality system. So we in Region 3 have our own QMP that describes our quality system, and we require our grantees to have both QMPs and QAPPs. Your QAPP, or Quality Assurance Project Plan, is specific to your project and describes the who, what, where, how, why associated with your project. Both of these documents are planning documents, and we really want to emphasize that quality assurance should make sense in the same way that you're going to plan for a vacation or you're going to plan a recipe that you make for the first time. We just want some planning to go into the project to minimize the things that can go wrong. So if you have your recipe for your cheesecake that you're going to make for the first time, it's going to tell you what temperature to preheat your oven at. It's going to tell you all the ingredients that you need. It's going to tell you how long that cheesecake needs to stay in the oven. And having that planned in advance prevents you from having an issue in the middle of baking your cheesecake. We also have standard operating procedures on the slide, just because those are also a QA document that might be really helpful to you for your project. We do not review and approve SOPs, but it might be helpful for you to attach an SOP that you're using to your QAPP so that it just kind of fills in some of the holes that that you might be looking to put in your QAPP. So we're not looking for you to reinvent the wheel in your QAPPs and your QMPs. You might be able to get that information from, your grant application or your grant work plan, and you can just copy and paste from those existing documents into these documents. Before Amy goes through all the elements of QMPs and QAPPs, we just want to take a second to remind you that our QA guidance documents all refer to the graded approach. The graded approach is really important to EPA's quality system, and it just tries to say that one size does not fit all in quality assurance. So what we're looking for in a QAPP for a contractor who's rehabilitating a Superfund site, that's going to look really different from an EJ grant QAPP, right? Your QAPP is probably going to be much shorter, much more simple. There are going to be elements that Amy talks about this morning that aren't going to apply to your project. And it's fine for you to just say, because we're not sending samples to a lab, this element doesn't apply to our project. So it doesn't eliminate the need for a QAPP or a QMP, but the graded approach provides some flexibility because of the scope of a project. All right, I'm going to turn it over to Amy now, and she's going to go through QMP and QAPP elements. So thanks, Amy.
Sure. Thanks, Elizabeth. Okay. Did that move along? Okay, cool. All right. So like Elizabeth said, one of the foundational documents for your quality system is a quality management plan. These are all of the elements listed in that blue box that we would usually ask whoever is providing the QMP to provide us. So this is going to just kind of set the foundation for your quality system and let us know that your organization is committed to quality, how you're going to train people, how you're going to ensure the people that are working in certain roles have the qualifications to have those roles. You have to identify a quality assurance manager, and they have to be independent of the group that's collecting any of your environmental information. So these are the elements that we look for. This can be found in our QMP standard, and we'll provide the links at the end if you don't have them. I know it looks like a lot, but like Elizabeth said, we do go by the graded approach. The other document that Elizabeth mentioned is the QAPP, or the Quality Assurance Project Plan. And this also has a series of different elements, and they're broken up into 4 different sections. So they're called Group A, Group B, Group C, and Group D elements. So the Group A elements in the QAPP are going to let us know your project management and identify your information or data quality objectives. So who is responsible for what in your project and what is happening. The Group B elements will discuss the actual environmental information operations, or what your project is, when you're going to do it, where you're going to do it, and how you're going to do it. The Group C elements are going to discuss assessment and oversight. So this is going to describe how the data is collected. Did you collect the data in the way that you said you would? And if not, how can you fix that? In Group D, that's going to discuss reviewing all of your data or your environmental information that you collected and ensure that what you collected is usable for its intended purpose. So just like I showed you the QMP elements, these are all the elements that we require for a QAPP. And again, we go by the graded approach. So like Elizabeth said, if you're not collecting field samples and sending them to a lab, then the elements that are specifically associated with lab methodology, you would just include that element title and then just write a brief description of why you don't need that specific element or why it's not applicable to your project. We do understand that asking for all of those elements in a QMP and all of those elements in a QAPP might be a little overwhelming for a lot of people. So we put together what we recommend that all the EJ grantees do for their required QA documents. We're going to highly recommend, you don't have to do it, but we really highly recommend that you do what we call a combined QA document. That's going to be a combined quality management plan and quality assurance project plan. I'm going to go through all the different requirements that you're going to need if you choose to do this combined document. If you look through, I'm not going to go through in very great detail all the different elements because you guys are going to be getting all of these slides. I'm going to kind of just briefly explain the element title and then what we would look for when we are reviewing the document. When you look at these slides, when you have them, you're going to see in parentheses, it's either going to say QAPP standard element or QMP standard element and then a number next to it. And that is so that you can go back into the QMP standard or the QAPP standard requirements. And again, we'll provide those resources at the end where you can find them and then look in more detail and make sure that you have everything that's specified within our requirements for that specific element. So we're going to ask that you have a title page, and we have some requirements for a title page. Your title page must include quality management plan and quality assurance project plan in the title. You have to let us know when you prepared the document, who prepared the document, some version controls, whether it's like revision 1, 2, or 3, or however you're going to track that, the period of applicability, if there's any grant number or cooperative agreement, you have to include that also in the title page. The approval page has to have some standardized signatures. So whoever you're going to designate as your quality assurance manager for your program or whatever equivalent title you give them, they must sign the QMP QAPP. A senior manager for your organization must sign the QMP QAPP, and they should be 2 separate people, the quality assurance manager and the senior manager. The EPA regional quality assurance manager, who I'm acting right now, but I won't be in this position after 6 weeks. So please don't put my name, just put the EPA title, that's sufficient. And then whoever your EPA project officer is, you can just choose to put project officer or the person's name. Table of contents, we want you to let us know all the elements that you have and any figures, any tables, and the page that they are located on. So like Elizabeth said, we're going to provide you with the QAPP standard template that we put together here specifically for Region 3. In there's going to be an example of the title page and the signature page. So if you choose to use the title page and the signature page that we provide, which we recommend, all you have to do is just put in your title and all of the signatures that you need on the signature page, and that should be good to go. So now we're going to get into the other specific elements. So as you can see, like I said, organization's quality statement, that's going to be the QMP standard element number 3. So if you go into the QMP standard and you look at element number 3, it's going to specify in a little bit more detail what you might need to include. So for the organization's quality statement, we want you to let us know that your organization is committed to quality management principles and practices. This is one of the main QMP elements that we're going to ask you to put into this combined document. And that's going to satisfy your QMP requirements. And this is only if you do the QMP-QAPP combined document. If you choose to do a separate QMP, you have to include all those other elements that we provided on the slide before. Another QMP element that you should include if you're going to be procuring any items or services is to let us know how you're going to go about doing that. So if you're going to be subcontracting anything out or subawarding anything out from your award, let us know how you will ensure that whoever you are subcontracting will also comply with all QA-related requirements, both in your QMP and for EPA. But if you're not going to be using that, then you don't have to include that in your QMP portion of your combined document. Then you're going to let us know the purpose of your project, the problem definition, or what questions you're hoping to answer, and give us the background so we know why this project is so important and why you're doing the project. Let us know the project tasks or each milestone that you're going to have, and provide some sort of schedule for those. The schedule doesn't have to be exact dates. You don't have to say on May 31st, you're going to start this and you're going to end it on June 5th. But some sort of schedule that you can look back on and just make sure you're on track would be helpful. It could be seasonal, it could be monthly, weekly, whatever works for your project. We just want to see the schedule. Include your information data quality objectives and your performance acceptance criteria. This is whether you are collecting new environmental information or utilizing what is existing information, or could also be called secondary data. You want to let us know your quality objectives and then your acceptance criteria for each of those. Include a distribution list. The distribution list should include anybody associated with the project, your project organization, and an organizational chart so that we can see the hierarchy and the communication lines between everybody within the project. Let us know everyone's roles and responsibilities, and be sure to specifically include your quality assurance manager and their independence. So that means they cannot also be they cannot be related to the group that's collecting any of the environmental information. They have to be separated. If you have a smaller organization and you have somebody that's a quality assurance manager, but they're also going to be collecting environmental information operations, you need to let us know how they're going to be independent when they're wearing a quality assurance manager hat. Let us know if there's any specific training or certifications for anybody working on the project, or if you're utilizing a lab, and how the organization is going to ensure competence within those that are working for you. If you don't have any specific training that's required for this project, just let us know. There's no training required for this for our project. Let us know how you're going to be handling all your documents and records, how long you need to retain them, and how else they're managed. Identify the project environmental information operations. So this is the specific details of your project and how they're going to satisfy the objectives that you listed previously. Include any field and lab methods and procedures that you're using in your project. If you allow for any sort of modifications, if you have specific lab sample handling requirements, that should all be included in your methods for environmental information acquisition element. If you have any SOPs, like Elizabeth mentioned before, you can cite those SOPs in this specific section and just include it as an attachment with your document. You don't need to rewrite your entire SOP again. It's not necessary. You're going to include the integrity of environmental information element. This lets us know how you will ensure the integrity of the environmental information collected during your project and what happens if something goes wrong. If you have any specific custody and sample handling that you require for your project, you can include that here. The quality control is the next element you're going to include. And again, this is for any new and existing information that you're utilizing in your project. So include any quality control checks for each of your activities. If you're going to utilize any sort of instrumentation or equipment, let us know how you will be calibrating it, testing it, inspecting it, and maintaining it. If you're going to be accepting any sort of supplies or services, also let us know how you will ensure that any supplies and services meet your requirements. Environmental information management and computer hardware and software. If you need any specific software or programs on a computer for your project, let us know. Like if you just need Excel or Microsoft, or if you have any specific any kind of software that you need, just let us know what you're going to be using for that. Assessments and response actions and oversight and reports to management. This is going to discuss the checks that you anticipate doing throughout your entire project, anywhere from a readiness review, which might look like all the participants meet the morning before you go out and collect some samples, and you just kind of let everyone know what their role is for the day and what their job is. That would be an assessment and response action that you can include here. If you're going to go out and randomly check to make sure whoever is maybe doing a survey is doing it appropriately, or somebody that's out in the field, you're just going to randomly spot check to make sure that they're doing things accurately. That could be included here. If you're going to be doing those assessments, you should be also writing a report. So let us know what types of reports you will be writing to, and who in management gets those reports. The environmental information review and usability determination. This includes how you ensure all the information that you do collect for your project is complete, it's correct, and it meets your project's quality requirements. I'm going to pass it off to Christopher, but before I do, I just wanted to say, I think a lot of the stuff I was saying, make sure you tell us. So just, this is not our project. We don't know what you guys are doing. This is your time to let us know what you're doing for your project. So don't think that you have to include that you're going to be wearing gloves when you go out. You have to, you should be wearing gloves, but you need to tell us what's appropriate for your project. And if we ask questions and a review comment after we get your document, it's just because we want to know more, or maybe we were like, oh, maybe this might be a good thing for your project, or this might be a good thing. But if it doesn't work, you just let us know. It's your project. All right. Thanks. Yeah, Christopher.
Awesome. Thank you, Amy. So there's a few things to keep in mind with your projects that I'll be going over. The first one is, if your project will be collecting PII, it's vital to ensure compliance with privacy policies and procedures. If you have any questions regarding PII, please reach out to myself or Elizabeth Gage. It's also important to check if your project's engaging in human subjects research, or HSR. Additional requirements will be necessary if this is the case. If you're unsure if your project is engaging in HSR, your project officer can reach out to Carol Ann Gross Davis, who is the HSR expert in Region 3. And there's a time frame that needs to be considered when you plan your projects. It's extremely important to plan your project, especially your plans surrounding sampling events, around this process towards document approval. So once the document's submitted to us, we have 45 days for initial review. At that point, we will send comments to the submitter if we had any comments, and if revisions are necessary, the revised QA document would need to be submitted back to us. At that point, we would have 15 days for review of the revisions, and then we would either approve the document or ask for more revisions. So once the review is complete, we respond in one of three ways. The first is approval, in which case the environmental information operations may occur as laid out in the document. Second is conditional approval, in which case the environmental information operations may begin while minor deficiencies are being resolved in the document. In this case, resubmittal is required, typically within 30 days. And the third way we respond is resubmission required. In this case, no environmental information operations may take place. So what do you do with the approved QA document? It needs to be distributed to the project personnel as outlined in the document. I need to ensure the QAPP's accessible during project activities, and this includes during field work. The original should be retained as an official record, and it's important to remember to document data collection in project activities. And attached at the end of the slides, we went through a lot of documents, and we have a live link here. It should be able to easily and quickly get you to like the QMP standard or the QAPP standard, as well as some other helpful resources. And yeah, now we'll gladly take any questions you have.